And welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Glad you're with us today. And this is a show where each week we get together and meet interesting people and talk about new and exciting issues. And we have an exciting program that has come to Oklahoma, started in November, I suppose, and still here in their first year, but something relatively new and that we need to learn more about.
It's a story. So let's invite our viewers to sit back, put your feet up, and get ready to hear the tale of a great story. So often we talk about things, Mick, that are not necessarily heartening. This is a heartening story. This is a good story. This is a feel good and do good and great operation you're going to hear about. It's called White Fields.
Lots of needs. Not all needs get fed.
That's
and
right.
This need is being met. We will learn more about White Fields when we return. You're watching The Verdict.
Every day America uses clean-burning natural gas instead of coal or oil is a day of victory for our environment. That's why Chesapeake chose to explore for natural gas exclusively, and we've never looked back. Because natural gas burns twice as clean as oil or coal, and reducing carbon emissions to combat potential global warming is every bit as urgent as cutting our dependence on energy imports. As America's #1 driller of new gas wells, Chesapeake is moving fast to find untapped reserves of natural gas here at home. It's the right fuel for America's economy and the fuel for a clean air future. We just happen to be early to see it so clearly. Chesapeake, natural gas wins the day.
There's a whole new world online, but it's not always safe for kids. What if someone you meet online sends a message that makes you feel uncomfortable? Tell a parent or teacher right now. It's the safe way for kids, right, gang?
Right, be safe online.
Thanks to Lauren Nelson and Cox, we're working to keep Oklahoma kids safer online. For your free guide, log on now. And if you feel your child has been placed in danger by someone online, notify law enforcement today.
Hi, this is James Garner.
Hi, this is Reba McEntire.
Hi, this is Johnny Bench. Hi, I'm Barry Switzer.
Hey everybody, this is Vince Gill,
Welcome to my home state of Oklahoma.
where we'll be celebrating 100 years of statehood.
In 2007.
Our strength is our people, and the 2,100 Oklahomans from the Cox Communications family are proud to be part of Oklahoma's story. Cox and Oklahoma, true partners.
Happy birthday, Oklahoma.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guests.
We're very pleased today to have two guests. We're going to have on my right Trent Ward. He is co-founder of White Fields. Trent is a graduate of Anderson University in Anderson, Indiana. He's on the board of directors of White Fields, as I say, as a co-founder. And he is also on the board of directors of an organization in which I'm involved and to which I spend some time, Oklahoma Lawyers for Children. Trent, glad to have you.
Thank you very much.
On my left, also associated with White Fields, is Mary Jones. Mary is the executive director. She is a graduate of Oklahoma State University with a degree in business administration and a master's degree in counseling from Oklahoma City University. She's been with White Fields for 4 years. This is her first visit to The Verdict. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Mary, let's jump in right for people who have no exposure to what you're doing with White Fields. Why don't you give them this introductory speech about the need and the efforts that you all are making?
We are focusing on a specific population of boys who can come into our campus from the age of 8 to 12.
and they have severe behavior problems. But when they come to Whitefields, they can stay until they graduate from high school.
Now, typically those kids might have been in foster care previously. What created the issues that allowed Whitefields to fill a void?
That's correct. The boys who come to Whitefields have probably had multiple failed foster placements and maybe even some hospitalizations for psychiatric stabilization, just due to trauma that they've experienced, abuse and neglect in their home. And more than likely, the parental rights have been terminated at some point in their history, and they really need a permanent home where they can grow up and have stability. They've rotated through our foster system and have not been successful in finding a more permanent home through adoption or a foster family.
And Trent, you're a co-founder along with your father. What made you guys see this need and decide that this was an effort that you guys wanted to pursue?
Well, you know, my dad had worked a little bit volunteering at another group home in the state, and the kids had had an average stay of 2 years in that group home, and we would see them make a progression. They were in the lowest level of DHS care in a group home setting, and they knew they couldn't go any lower. And they would make a progression through this stay, knowing that they were stabilized in this facility, and then they would age out at 12. And as they would start getting closer to their birthday at 12, they would start to regress, knowing that they were going to have to go back into a system that they had already failed. And it's not the child's fault that they failed the system. Go back to our child being wards of the state at 8 to 12 years old. Is the abuse that they've had to have incurred to become a ward of the state at that age is it's awful. The worst things that you could ever think about, because the state's ultimate goal is always reunification or adoption of a child, and it sometimes doesn't become possible with these children because of the things that have been put on them by what their parents have done to them.
So the two of you saw a need, decided, let's do something about it. Then what? How did you meet Mary, or how did you decide to pursue this particular direction?
Well, we saw the need, and I was a freshman in college at the time, and I was home for a semester from school, and it was kind of a culmination of a whole bunch of things at this time that made us start working on this path. And as I left to go back to school, my dad kept working on the process and found Mary, and they started working together about 4 years ago. As I came back to school, from school, I walked in and kind of took over the family role. Still work with my dad on this, but I've kind of taken over the family role, and then Mary runs our day-to-day. But that was kind of, as we worked through that, it was a long progression too. This is coming into starting our 8th year working on Whitefields, and we've only been open 6 months, so we really put a lot of research into what exactly we were looking to start.
Mary, you have a master's in counseling, so you're familiar with some of the problems that your residents will have experienced. What got you involved in Whitefields? How did you decide to make this your career path?
I've been in counseling for over 15 years, and I've struggled with watching these type of kids not ever be able to stabilize and graduate out of our system and become homeless, or not be able to find jobs, not finish their high school diplomas. So there's a significant need, and just watching it and really always wanting to help children.
Well, don't let me overstate this, but as I understand, one of the requisites for Whitefields is that they must be a little more difficult case.
That's true.
How did you decide to take the toughest cases?
Well, that was a decision that the Ward family made. They realized that a lot of the children who are in some of the lower level group homes are having their needs met, and that this was really a population that it's just not working for. Our current system just isn't working for them.
Let's take a look at some pictures, and maybe you guys could talk us through what we're going to see, some pictures of Whitefields.
This is where, Trent?
This is one of our residences where the boys live, and we have 2 of these homes. This would be a D-plus facility, and we have 10 beds apiece in this. It's a 24-hour awake care residence, and what we've really tried to do is make this type of residence as much like home as possible. a normal D+ facility, you're going to be somewhat clinical, and we tried to make it as much of a home-like setting as possible. We brought in, we did 10 bedrooms with their own bath in every bedroom, and so the boys have a claim of something of their own when they come into this.
Okay, let's take a look at the next picture.
Mary, what's that?
This is the entry of our administration building. So when you come in through the door and you see those glass doors there, you can look out across our campus, which sets in an oval, and get a really great picture of our 140 acres that we have the boys on. This is plans for our gymnasium. It will have an indoor basketball court and indoor weight room and facilities for the boys to get exercise while they're on the campus.
This is the inside of the residence that we showed the outside of a second ago, and as you can kind of see, this is the game area of the cottage, and it really tries to bring that home-like setting into a situation that's tough when they come in. And once again, the outside, tried to landscape as nice as we could and really bring that home feel back into it.
These are the plans for our fine arts building. We will be working with expressive therapies with the boys. When they're as young as they are and they've been traumatized, typically the traditional talk therapy doesn't work as well, so we'll be doing music therapy and art therapy and helping the boys find a skill that they can enjoy.
How do they go to school, Mary?
Our school is on campus, and it's in one wing of the administration building. We have plans to build an educational building that will have larger classrooms available, but they are in school right now at Whitefields, and then whenever they are ready to step through our continuum to a lower level of care, they can go to the Deer Creek Public Schools.
Mary Jones is the Executive Director of Whitefields. Trent Ward is a co-founder. We have one more segment with these two, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the needs and that are being met at Whitefields and how they came about choosing the population and the residents and where they see this thing going from here. You're watching The Verdict. Stay with us.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Shining is taking responsibility. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, we know managing your health care can be overwhelming, and it's our job to help you meet the challenge. By guiding, supporting, and showing the way, we encourage you to gain control. Because we believe the best tool we can give you is the confidence to take charge. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, shining through.
Okiwani is an Indian name for a place where children play. When we obtained the camp, we found a lot of oil debris left in the woods. We saw a commercial about how the oil and natural gas industry cleans up old oil well sites. We called the OERB, and they agreed to remove tons of concrete and steel. It didn't cost us a thing. Thousands of children have left their footprints on this land. Thanks to the oil and gas industry, they will for a long time to come.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
Cox Channel, following your favorite teams all season long.
Hi, this is James Garner.
Hi, this is Reba McEntire.
Hi, this is Johnny Bench. Hi, I'm Barry Switzer.
Hey, everybody, this is Vince Gill.
Welcome to my home state of Oklahoma,
where we'll be celebrating 100 years of statehood
in 2007.
Our strength is our people. And the 2,100 Oklahomans from the Cox Communications family are proud to be part of Oklahoma's story. Cox and Oklahoma, true partners.
Happy birthday, Oklahoma.
Welcome back to The Verdict. We're learning more about Whitefields, a residence place for boys who have not succeeded in normal foster care situations, and this is a need that's being met. Mary Jones and Trent Ward are with us. Mary, the staffing at Whitefields, how did you go about deciding the adult supervision that was going to be necessary?
Well, we are mandated by the state to have certain levels of 1-to-1 or 1-to-5 ratio for the boys, so we have staff that are with them all the time. And then of course we have our professionals. We have someone who's overseeing the program, which is Jerry Fry. Camille Regan is our clinical coordinator. And then we have a psychiatrist who consults and a psychologist who consults, and a great group of folks at Whitefields.
What's your total population?
We
residents?
We currently have 5 boys, and we have the capacity to grow to 20 at the current level of care.
Well, that's significant staffing for just 20 boys, isn't it?
Yes.
In comparison to what
Yes.
might be available elsewhere.
Yes, it is. We are meeting all the state's requirements. So we with the current staff we have,
exceeding it.
Yeah, I'd say so. We are staffed up to currently we could add 5 more boys without adding any more staff.
I would say, Ken, on that our potential capacity for boys is 60 to 70 beds available when we're fully phased out through our 3rd phase.
Well, let me ask you, Trent, about this is an all-boy facility. How did you decide to do that rather than having it either girl or mixed?
It was really a personal choice on the Ward family that we just felt like that having all boys was where our heart was, and that there wasn't more of a need on boys than there is girls, or having a mixed population does complicate things a little bit, having a mixed population, but boys was really where our heart was.
Let me ask you one more follow-up question to that about funding. Typically, foster homes receive funding from the state. Do you all get funding from the state?
Well, we are a state facility, but we have, through our contract, come up with a plan to where our donors actually pay the state's money that would be paid to us per day, per bed. And so we still get government funds, but the state funds are paid through our donors. And so these children, when they come to Whitefields, are basically free to the state of Oklahoma.
Levels of care, continuum of care, what are you offering?
The continuum of care really is our main goal in this, and through that becomes the permanence issue. We've set up to basically run the gauntlet of the DHS system in levels. And so when this child is able to move from a lower, as in DHS terms, which I'm not a clinician, but a higher level to a lower level, meaning getting better, they would be able to stay on campus and keeping a home-like environment and creating a sense of stability and permanence in their life, rather than having to move from Oklahoma City to Ponca City to fill a bed someplace, that they stay with us all the way through their life. Basically, we're becoming their family.
Mary, how are you judging your success? Long term, I'm sure you want to have goals. I imagine there's a business model here that certain goals are expected to be met. How are you going to measure the success of Whitefields?
We're specifically tracking our outcomes, and so we're looking at length of stay. Are we able to decrease the medications that the boys are taking? How quickly are they able to go to public school? What is the ability that we have to get them integrated into the community? Our whole goal at Whitefields is to move the boys into independence. So through that stability, we are required that if a child doesn't require a certain level of care because their behavior doesn't mandate it, that they have a less restrictive. So when they come in, they have 24-hour wait care. Our staff rotate through in 3 shifts, just like a hospital would. Then they are able to step down to a house parent model, which everybody goes to sleep at night and they live more like a family. From there, the kids can move into specialized community homes, which is even more in the community, and into independent living. And we realize at Whitefields that once they graduate from high school, we aren't going to be able just to say, thanks for coming, we're going to be able to follow up with them and help them get into college and
Well, I was going to ask you about that because,
yeah.
you know, I think to a certain extent, people know that government services typically end when the student's 18, and we hear the stories about how then they're released upon
That's
society,
right.
and sometimes it turns out well and sometimes it doesn't. And so how do you look after them or stay in touch with them once they reach that 18th birthday?
Well, we're gonna work to provide aftercare. We'll have a specific program for that. We'll have mentors, we'll have caseworkers and clinicians that will continue to be there and provide support for the boys.
At that point, you're invested, aren't you?
We are very invested, yes.
Where are you located, just generally?
We are at 220th and County Line Road, which is just on the other side of into Canadian County.
What's your typical day like so far?
My typical day is very busy. The boys start their day by going to school at around 8, and we get 6 hours of education in, which is one of the things we're very proudest of. A lot of the boys come in and they're behind in their education because they've had to move around so much from place to place. So we work hard to help them catch up because we all know if we feel good about our education, we're going to feel better about ourselves. And through that process, they have group therapy, they have individual therapy, they do a lot of outdoor play and sports. My day involves management, oversight, working with volunteers, and you know, just kind of keeping us moving forward and developing our programs.
We saw the nice pictures of the cottages in the first segment.
Yes.
10 boys, is that generally the max in a cottage?
Yes, that's the number that we were encouraged to not go much larger than that, and really that's a size you wouldn't really want to go over.
And there'll be a resident in there 24 hours a day, I suppose?
Yes, yes.
Resident advisor or something?
There's at least 2 staff for those 10 boys at all times. And they become like parents for them and are really there to help them with their everyday activities and basic living skills, social skills.
How do you get your residents, and how does that work with Department of Human Services?
The Department of Human Services has a centralized referral in the state office, and all of our boys are sent to that referral office through other facilities, other foster care agencies, Canadian County Department of Human Services, all the DHS workers who have a child and think they might work at Whitefields will send the child to this centralized office, and then referrals come from there.
Trent, you've just been in operation 6 months, but the news about Whitefields, of course, has been around the community for a while since you and your father started working on it. But the word about Whitefields is going to get out, and you're going to have a lot more requests, I suspect, for admittees to the residents than you can handle. What kind of evaluation process will you go through to decide who you take and who you can't?
Well, that's one positive of being a state funded facility, is that all of our referrals do come through the state. We don't take private kids from families that are having a hard time with the kid, and that's not the segment that we decided to help. And so coming from the state will help that a little bit. And I'm sorry, the back end of your question.
Well, how do you determine who to take and who not to take to keep from becoming overpopulated?
We are set up on a criteria that we've put an investment in these children for life. We decided that my dad and I couldn't take these kids home and make them our own, and so the reason we started Whitefields was to basically create a home to where they could get the care they needed and function. And so we will make sure that the child is able to go on through their life and function in a positive manner so that they can become a functioning citizen once they get out of Whitefields. And so the criteria there is on the clinical end. And
well, Trent, obviously this is a very gracious of your family to take on this assignment, and Oklahoma's a better place for it. So thank you for doing that on behalf of not only Oklahoma City, but the state of Oklahoma. And I know DHS appreciates the help too. And long term, those boys that are being affected are going to appreciate it as well. Mary, best of luck in this endeavor, and we look forward to talking to you down the line and learning about the success stories of Whitefields. And perhaps we can come both back on for another show in the coming months.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Kent and I'll have a final word after this.
good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
There's a whole new world online, but it's not always safe for kids. Never give your name, phone, address, or password to anyone you met online, and always keep your personal information private. It's the safe way for kids, right, gang?
Right. Be safe online.
Thanks to Lauren Nelson and Cox, we're working to keep Oklahoma kids safer online. For your free guide, log on now. And if you feel your child has been placed in danger by someone online, notify law enforcement today.
Are you the one looking for an exciting new career? If so, we are the one looking for you. We are Cox Communications, and we are searching for field service representatives. FSRs interact and perform services at our customers' home. Sound like the job for you? Then some of the things you need are a high school diploma and a good driving record. But for complete job description and qualification, go to jobs@cox.com.
Welcome back to The Verdict, learning more on this show about Whitefields.
Wonderful thing that's going on in Oklahoma County. Thanks so much to the Ward family and to Mary Jones and the people involved. They're providing a terrific service that wouldn't be available otherwise.
Website information, whitefieldsok.com, whitefieldsok.com. And of course, our website, theverdict.tv. Go there and tell us about a show you'd like to see. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week on The Verdict.
The preceding program was produced by the Production Services Group at Cox Communications, exclusively for the Cox Channel.